Good day, Philippines. Welcome back to Contemporary World, where we learn and discover the multifaceted dimensions of globalization. This is Decadent Potot Kenneth White, a member of Group 3, and for today's topic, me and my groupmates are going to discuss about globalization and media. First, let's define globalization in media in simple definition. So, globalization is the connection of different countries resulting to the expansion of economic, cultural, technology, and political activities. It is the movement, integration of people, goods across and among different countries that contributes in the evolution of the world. On the other hand, media refers to the different means of communication or tools that distribute and store information like television, radio, internet, and many others. So now, what is really the role of media in globalization? What are the pros and cons of media and globalization? Is there globalization without media? Is media globalization a form of cultural imperialism? Based on my research, theorists believes that media plays a key role in acceleration of globalization. The media plays a vital part in enhancing globalization and facilitating cultural exchange, as well as multiple flows of information between countries through international news, broadcast, television, and new technologies. Just like today, we are using media channels in order for us to access information and stay connected with people nationwide and worldwide. It made globalization more convenient and faster. Do you still remember Arjun Aparuday and Five Scapes of Globalization? One of his scapes is the media scapes, in which it is defined as the movement of media across borders and the flow of development in communication and accessing information. In today's contemporary world, media has a great influence in globalization. The most visible effect of media in globalization is the widespread of communication, as it serves as its platform, where media brings communities together from individuals to business sectors, and as well international trade, where companies can easily contact or communicate with their customers through different media platforms. And it makes people have a stronger sense of awareness in terms of situations and global happenings, especially those environmental problems, in order to solve those. So, in addition to that, media in globalization are becomingly significant day by day. Nowadays, it is difficult to imagine a person who does not use media products such as internet, television, and many others. So in conclusion, media further the extension of globalization process. However, we can't argue that because of globalization, there is an increased access to a broad range of media that shape human minds and immense the impact on our society and also in our personal lives. In which because of globalization there is a stages of development in media from industrial age, electronic age, and digital age. So it clearly emphasizes that globalization and media rely on each other to provide mutual assistance in the expansion of the world.
Globalization and its impacts have constituted one of the latest buzzwords today. It could be seen on the streets in any part of the world through the global reach in our everyday media consumption. This is Cadet Cajano, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons of media globalization. Let's start off first with the pros. Media have a central place in processes of globalization for three reasons. Firstly, media corporations have been among those corporations that have been increasingly globalizing their operations. Secondly, media organizations help to develop the global communications infrastructures that facilitates global information flows and cross-border commercial activities. Lastly, global media are the principal means through which we make sense of events in distant places, and the information and images they carry are central to development of shared systems of meaning and understanding across borders. With the radical critic of global media being associated with strong globalization arguments, globalization is seen as the dominant force in media industries currently, notwithstanding counter trends and localized forms of resistance.
Let's talk about the dark side. Now, let's talk about the dark side of media globalization. critical media theorists have always been concerned with the tendencies towards concentration of media ownership and their impact upon politics, society, and culture, and the impact of media globalization led by the Western translational media corporations. According to Herbert Schiller, the current stage of the US-dominated capitalism was one where he termed entertainment, communication, and information industries had achieved economic preeminence. Their influence was enacted not only in the political economic sphere but also on the global culture and consciousness, and as a result was a form of cultural imperialism. So whereby the ideas and ideologies of the dominant West, particularly the US, exerted hegemony over the populations of the rest of the world. So the radical critique of global media associated with critical economy has experienced a resurgence of interest in recent years. The proposition is that media ownership worldwide is subject to growing concentration, leading to a reduced competition and increasingly homogeneous media content worldwide. So Manfred Stiger argues that to a very large content, the global cultural flows of our times are generated and directed by global media empires that rely on powerful communication technologies to convey their message. Basically, what this means is that the large, mostly US-based media corporations are the ones that dominates and hugely influences the ideas and ideologies upon politics, society, and culture of those people of the rest of the world, resulting to a more reduced competition and increasingly homogeneous media content worldwide. That is all. Thank you.
I am Dekadit Lim, Alan Chemodar, and I will answer the question, is there globalization without media? Media has been part into our culture. This shows that all means of communication across the world. It is an outlet used in order to deliver and input information in terms of livelihood and all types of day-to-day living. Media can be classified into two types, namely the traditional and old media. Our ancestors before are using the old form of media, where it is composed of newspapers, books, photography, and other printed media that contains information. Also, early writing on paper enables long-distance communication, such as mail. As our generation improved, media has bloomed and created greater development. Traditional media is what we are using today, in which an application of technologies were given emphasis like computers and other gadgets used. However, globalization is the growing independence of the world's economy, population, culture, all means of development that shows the process of interaction and integration among people and different countries. Thus, media and globalization has a major relationship towards each other. This shows interdependence that creates better achievements. Media is seen today as playing an important role in the development of globalization. The concept of globalization has to adapt other discipline that focuses media. This implies on the enhancements of facilitating culture, flow of information throughout different borders, films, news, and more. Media makes each means of globalization easier and possible.
This is Decadet Mata, and in addition to Mr. Lim, the mainstream of media in different countries of the world were relatively national in scope. Since then, most communications media have become increasingly global, extending their reach beyond the nation-state to conquer audiences worldwide. By this, globalization were easily practiced and enhanced, showing the development of global capitalism. This could tell us that without the presence of media, globalization could have a hard time in growing and enriching one country and another, along with people from different places. Globalization would face difficulties and could not function without the engagement of media. From then up to now, the media and globalization should link to one another in order to have better success. Therefore, media is important so that globalization could foster and continue its aim, which is to uplift countries. To sum up everything, media plays an important factor in globalization. The development of globalization should shallow without the existence of media. There might be a chance that without media, globalization would not be practiced. So globalization without media or its importance would be nothing.
I'm Christian Dave Abeliar. So for the question, is media globalization a form of cultural imperialism? Yes, media globalization is a form of cultural imperialism. This examines the pivotal role that the media play in the more general globalization process. Countries are aware that because America can produce films and gain the cost back so easily, Being able to then give this to third world countries for free may force them into an American way of living, therefore losing their individuality and culture. France now makes sure that at least 20% of their films shown in cinemas are French to keep their culture living on. Media globalization has been made possible with the ongoing changes and development in information and communication technology. Even if films from America are not showing in local cinema, it is now possible to download them from anywhere in the world. Advertising by major American companies are now all over the internet, including McDonald's, Burger King, and Subway. Mass media plays a pivotal role in the continued spread of consumer culture that drives and perpetuates global capitalism. We find very obvious examples of consumerism within the advertising across the mass media, but a more general level that the mass media promotes certain kinds of lifestyle and taste culture. Another advertising example that influences the consumer to be encouraged to follow other cultures is the whitening products, especially Filipinos today who loves their skin to be white, because for them it's the measurement of being beautiful here in the Philippines. With that mindset, they didn't realize that they are already being taken by the culture of other country.
Another example of this K-pop, through media, it invade the culture here in the Philippines because mostly of the teenagers today are highly into K-pop idols. They even imitate the way they dress, their learn language, etc. because they feel pleasure as they watch and imitate their idols that some of them wish they wouldn't have wanted to be born as a Korean. That's all for the group 3. Thank you.